Welcome to the Fairfield University Alumni Career Webinar Series. My name is Julie Tizzoli, class of 1985. I'm the Director of Alumni Career Services. Our webinar today is LinkedIn Advanced Techniques to Improve Your Job Search. Today's webinar has been very well received by our alumni community, with well over 100 registrants. I welcome you all and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for our first webinar of the 2012-2013 season. The Alumni Career Webinar Series is scheduled for the third Tuesday of each month from 1 to 2 p.m. East Coast time, with a bonus webinar in October that you'll be hearing about from 7 to 8 p.m. We have put together a schedule full of great topics covering job search strategies and professional development. Some examples include entrepreneurship, performance coaching, building a talent pipeline, interview strategies for the hiring manager, social media and your job search, professional writing strategies, and personal branding. For more information and to register for future webinars, please visit www.fairfield.edu/alumni-career. Don't forget that you can access past webinars here as well. This webinar is being recorded and will be found in its entirety within 3 to 5 business days at the fairfield.edu/alumni-career webpage. If you experience any technical difficulties, please send a message to me in the chat box or call Alumni Relations at 203-254-4280. Questions are welcome. Linda will be answering questions throughout her presentation as well as at the end. Please type them into the question box as you think of them. I will pose them to Linda for you. The box is located in the control bar and will show up when you click on the Go to Webinar View menu in the upper right-hand corner. I am now pleased to introduce our webinar presenter today. Linda Van Valkenburg is the owner and certified executive career coach of My Executive Career Coach in Stamford, Connecticut. Recognized by the International Coaching Federation, Linda's credentials include Certified Career Management Coach, Certified Job Search Strategist, and Twitter Certified Career Strategist. Linda is a member and invited speaker for the Society for Human Resource Management. She has been an invited speaker for the Yale School of Management as well as many professional groups across the region. And she is a career expert on NBC Connecticut's WVIT Channel 6. Linda works with clients to discover their skills and strengths, develop their value proposition and strategic plan, target opportunities that advance their careers to the next level, and supports them through a skillful negotiation process. This is Linda's second webinar presentation for Fairfield University alumni. We are fortunate to have her again. Linda, thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. I will now turn it over to you.
Oh, Julie, thank you very much. I always love working with Fairfield University. You have a great program for your community, and I'm honored to be asked back, so thank you very much. Well, welcome, everyone. I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak with you. As you know, this is a webinar all on LinkedIn and how it can help your job search improvement. I would ask for your patience just a little bit. I am battling a head cold. It's that time of the year, I guess, so if you hear an occasional cough, I'll try to move my mic quickly, and please don't mind the raspy voice. So here's our game strategy for your LinkedIn and other social media as it pertains to your job search. In your online strategy, you want to have an integrated approach and use more than just one social media networking site. The idea is that you're omnipresent with a presence in multiple places, so it extends your reach and offers a more 3D picture of who you are. Because one thing recruiters are doing is they're looking at you in more than one place. So we want to have a great virtual presence. So let's talk about some eight great reasons, I like to think, for using LinkedIn in your job search. Because the recruiters are here. And recruiters and hiring managers on LinkedIn, that would be enough said for me. If they're there, I want to be there, meaning I, the job seeker. each year, an organization called JobVite conducts a social recruiting survey. And here are some numbers from a year ago, well, just over a year ago, in response to the question, which social media do you or your company use for recruiting? And you can see right there at the top of the list, 78% is LinkedIn. More and more recruiters are using LinkedIn as their Rolodex. And those of us born, or let's put it this way, graduating in the 70s and 80s remember what a Rolodex is. And if you were to walk into a recruiting firm today, one of the big ones like a Heidrick or a Spencer Stewart, et cetera, and you would glance around the room, the open forum of recruiters, you would see double screen monitors and one monitor dedicated to LinkedIn. I have seen this, and it is fascinating. You can also see how the other social medias stack up against LinkedIn and what the recruiters are using. So here are the numbers a year later. Now LinkedIn, you can see, is growing from 78% all the way up to just about 87%. So this was from JobVite in 2011. And next you look at the specific comparisons for each of these sites over the last 2 years. And you see that Facebook remained about the same, LinkedIn rose, Twitter's up just a little bit, YouTube is down, blogs are down, but you can surely see that these three areas right here, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, are essential in the job market. Let me be fair, I have to tell you, I went kicking and screaming at my age. I graduated in the late 70s, and I went kicking and screaming into social media. So I understand the resistance, but it's a fact. It's here to stay, so we might as well get on board and embrace it. So taking a look at where employers are spending their money in job boards, you can see that why recruiters are flocking to LinkedIn just by this slide. We noted in the prior slide that employers and recruiters are naming LinkedIn as their #1 social media site. But now when you look at the costs to Fortune 500 employers to source candidates, you can see some pretty significant information here. Several years ago, just about 2007, Fortune 500 employers were spending an average of more than $1.2 million on advertising on job boards. Job boards being places like Monster, CareerBuilder, Dice, and a plethora of niche sites. But using LinkedIn exclusively, they can reduce that price to an average of $60,000 a year. You can see that right here. So you've all heard the phrase, follow the money. If you were an employer or a recruiter looking for great candidates at a bargain, which one would you use? Well, the recruiters have spoken, and LinkedIn is their #1 choice. I'm going to make a plug over here, this barely seen green line here for Twitter. This line is actually growing on, if you were to go back to a previous slide where it said Twitter was barely growing, it's growing even more now because recruiters have found they can tweet their jobs for free. So free is better than spending $60,000 and certainly better than spending $1.2 million. So if I were Monster or CareerBuilder, I think I'd be shaking in my boots a little bit. Your competition, this is reason #2. Your competition's on LinkedIn. If reason #1, that the recruiters and the hiring managers are on LinkedIn, doesn't make sense, this one certainly does. If you're not on LinkedIn and on it in a positive way, you're probably not in the game. There's over 120 million professionals that are on LinkedIn. And the reason recruiters are on LinkedIn, because the candidates are there. So with 120 million professionals with accounts on LinkedIn, you can't compete if you're not on the game board here. So I hope most folks on the call are on LinkedIn, and if you're not, hopefully this webinar will make the case that tonight will at least open up an account. And #3, your brand can be brandished on LinkedIn. Your brand, to my clients, what I teach is your value proposition. So it's a great way to get your brand out there on LinkedIn and begin to create that 3D profile across your resume, your cover letters, your LinkedIn profile, any social media that you're using, that wherever you are, your brand, your value proposition is present. So think, what's the first thing you want people to think of when they think of you? So the answer to your question should be your value proposition. You can help control how people think of you by having that branded profile, participating in groups that are on brand for you, using the questions features that are used on LinkedIn, the special groups that you've joined. Those are the ways that people begin to think of you. If you were to visit my profile, you would find a lot of career-related brands and groups. Same, I'm sure, if you went to Julie's, you'd find a lot of things that are career-related, alum-related, and that's how we start to build our brand. But unlike a resume, that LinkedIn profile is forward-looking. A resume, if you think about it, is everything you've done in your past. It's backward thinking. It's showing what you have done. So this is a way to be able to take control of your brand on LinkedIn with a forward-looking profile. You can indicate where you're going, who you want to be within your future as part of that profile. A branded signature block. Consider having a branded signature block when you are corresponding on LinkedIn with the inbox that you have there. Imagine keeping a Word document on your desktop and having this information already sitting there so that all you have to do is cut and paste this information into all of your LinkedIn invitations and email correspondence. Okay? So this is something that I found particularly frustrating as a coach, writing so many letters back and forth to people asking to connect or to others that are asking me questions. You'll notice that when you send a letter in LinkedIn that there's no email signature file the way you might have in Outlook. So creating one of your own so that you're showing who you are, your company, your consulting work, something about you from your value proposition, any certifications that you have, a link maybe to your blog, to something that you want to point your reader to. This is a great thing to be able to quickly copy and paste into the bottom of your LinkedIn correspondence. And remember that that initial invitation when you're first reaching out to someone, this link will be rejected by LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn's version of quality control, making sure people aren't being spammed with things they don't want. So kudos to LinkedIn for doing that. And then you have to go back and remember the next time that this person can see and can receive your links because they're already part of your network. The fourth reason, networking connections are on LinkedIn, and that translates to the hidden, pardon me, or the active job market. And that's where stats would say that about 70 to 80% of jobs are actually found. I talk to my clients about the 25-75 rule, where I want to keep an eye on the passive market, the 25%, meaning job boards. But I really know that most of my executive clients are transitioning to their next position through the active market, and that happens through networking, contacts on LinkedIn, going to networking groups, meetup groups, the ExecuNet senior executive roundtable groups that are available in the state and your state too, as well as other local and regional networking groups. All of those things that are helping create network connections on LinkedIn, becoming part of the active market where you can meet targeted decision makers. So you can start with people you know when connecting with contacts. So if you're new to LinkedIn, start with the 6, 10, 12 people you know. I have to admit that the first year that I had my LinkedIn account, which is just over 6, 7 years ago, I think I had 6 people in my connections for the longest time. And now I have to tell you, I'm well over 1,200 first-degree connections and over 15 million third-degree contacts. and I use my network daily, many times a day, to help my clients and other network connections meet people they want to know. So I understand starting small, and then it can be a bit of a nuclear explosion as you gain traction on LinkedIn. So start reaching out to other individuals as well, people that you're sharing within groups. So you'll notice on the lower right side of your page, if you have your LinkedIn accounts page open, where it says viewers of this profile also viewed. See this area that I've highlighted here with the yellow arrow? These are people you might be able to begin to reach out to extend your network beyond the people you know. So for instance, if I were to open up Julie's page right now, over on her bottom right-hand corner of her page, I would see other people that have viewed Julie and others of her colleagues as well. So I might look at these folks as others that I might want to reach out to and expand my network. And remember, just as in face-to-face networking, it's about an ongoing engagement. It's about relationships and trust, not a one-hit wonder where I'm sure none of us are guilty of that, but it does need to be said because so many people fall into the trap of they create a contact but then have nothing more to do with that contact until they need a job. So one of the things I like to do is send information out to my contacts about a workshop, a blog, a tweet, something that continually enriches my network. Reason number 5, the job postings are on LinkedIn. We're going to click on that Jobs tab in a moment. So you'll find it operates similarly to job boards like Monster or CareerBuilder. You can search via the function, level, industry, and so on. And in addition, you can click on links that say, see who at this company can help you get this job. And then you can explore, join, and participate in the groups that those contacts are in. Now you are elbow to elbow with people that you want to meet because you know what groups they're in and you are joining too. They're probably similarly related to you and your industry. This can also give you some additional ideas for target companies. And if available, connect with that person who actually posted the job opening. So here's a shot of a global procurement person. Now I picked this so that you could see in the Connecticut area or the Northeast, because this is also including New Jersey. I searched on procurement positions just as a demonstration only. And in procurement, when I clicked on the Jobs tab at the top of my LinkedIn page, if you can see this, I'm circling, it came up with 3,494 jobs in procurement in the United States, and I could break that down even further with a zip code. So what I've done here is found great opportunities for me to look at if I am in the procurement field. So now what I can see, now that I've opened up the Jobs tab and I've typed in procurement and I can find 3,000 jobs to take a peek at, I can find information like who can refer me to the job poster, and I can see that John Hyde, who is Julie, a Dean of Career Services at New York Institute of Technology, knows the lady, Michelle, who posted this job. So I could reach out to my friend John and say, John, can you tell me about Michelle? Is there any information you can share with me? I'm extremely interested in the Computer Associates Technologies job on global procurement. And of course, John, my first degree connection, would be very happy to help. This is another interesting idea for Kraft Foods here in Parsippany. 142 people in my network have something to do with Kraft Foods. So if I were to click on this 142, I would be able to find someone in there that I know I could reasonably reach out to and ask more questions about this position. Same thing here with Unilever. And again, with Senior Procurement Manager with this company, MakerBot Industries, I could reach out to Ken and have him tell me a little bit about Jennifer and what her needs are for this position. So the Jobs tab on LinkedIn, extremely powerful, and another great reason why increasing your network strongly can be such an advantage.
Linda?
There's another, I'm sorry?
Can I interrupt 1 second?
Please.
On the jobs, how often do you recommend people to take a look at these jobs? Because as we know, sometimes jobs that are on job boards are already filled or
Right.
could be brand new. So what would your suggestion be?
What I usually suggest, this is part of the passive market because this is a job posting. It has responsibilities and requirements and a company that we can see. So this is part of the passive market. I've done nothing to create this position. And what I recommend my clients do with passive market is to check every Sunday evening and every Wednesday. So twice a week, I would recommend checking your passive market opportunities. I think it's about controlling your organization, controlling your strategy, not letting things overrun you in the job search process. Because trust me, if a job does come up Monday and Tuesday and you don't see it till Wednesday, that is not old. And the reason why I suggest Sunday and Wednesday is Sunday, you have the opportunity to get ahead of the Monday morning curve, to already write your cover letter and modify your resume and apply to the position Sunday evening, so it's there waiting for the person on Monday morning. And on Wednesday, it's usually a great day that recruiters are putting up more of their positions in the middle of the week. So the strategy that I often talk about is a Sunday, Wednesday, but certainly you could make it a Monday, Thursday if you like. I'm just going after at least twice a week. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. You can also apply with a LinkedIn button. There are certain companies, Netflix is one of them, for instance, that has given, LinkedIn has given employers that ability to embed a button called Apply with LinkedIn on their website. It allows you to click it and instantly apply to the position. Caution, it pulls information from your LinkedIn profile. So only, big, big, big only, if your profile fits that position you're applying for, go ahead and use the Apply with the LinkedIn button to save yourself lots of time. But again, don't do it unless your LinkedIn profile is a perfect match. It's not something I recommend. I am all about modifying your information honestly and ethically to fit that position, and there might not be enough of a keyword match on your LinkedIn profile to do this. I'm really a believer in the specialized cover letter that I teach to my clients. I'm a believer in the focused approach. So you might see this, and I just caution you about using it. Reason number 6. Search engine optimization, or your SEO, can help you be found on LinkedIn. So for instance, because you're active on your LinkedIn profile and you're doing your improvements and you're active in your network, you are raising your visibility, which is another great company, by the way, visibility.com with a Z. You are raising your visibility in search engine optimization. It's easier to be found. So if you were to Google your name, your LinkedIn profile is probably coming up somewhere early on page 1 or so of that search result. And we all need to be found. And as I mentioned earlier on in our program, it gives the recruiters that 3D look of you and that branding that we spoke about, that you are consistently branded as that procurement specialist, that marketing maven, that et cetera, et cetera. So you want to be the subject matter expert, and that is your brand, and it's a wonderful way to be found on all of these possibilities as recruiters go out and look. The other social media tools, by the way, not just LinkedIn, but Twitter and Facebook, blogging, also help raise your search engine optimization, your availability, your ease to be found. I know it sounds overwhelming. How are you supposed to get all of this done? I'll go back to something that Julie and I just said a few moments ago. Schedule it. Make it on certain days of the week and stick to it like clockwork. Use dashboards to help you. And if you're into social media, you'll know that some of the dashboards are things like Hootsuite.com, which is spelled H-O-O-T, like an owl, Hootsuite, S-U-I-T-E.com. And dashboards help manage multiple social media outlets so that you're doing things on one website, not 5 or 6. Imagine when I make an update to LinkedIn, it will also tweet it, put it on my Facebook, connect it back to my blog, just by going to one website. So there are tricks behind this, and I want to share those with you today. Yes, it's about LinkedIn, but there are ways to manage LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and all of the other social media outlets that you have. So do schedule certain days of the week to do certain activities. Let's move forward. So keywording your profile. This is really important. When you go to your LinkedIn profile, after you get through your initial contact information block, and you go below that, and there's a summary profile, I would like you to make sure that your profile is loaded with the keywords that best describe you. So again, one of the best places to optimize keywords to be more easily found is your profile. So load it with tons of keywords. And here I've taken my profile, just as an example, and show you here in yellow how my profile is loaded with keywords. So you want to make sure that it's containing solid, tangible terms like your title, your functional skills, your industry, and make sure that they are things that people would search for if they were looking, for example, me, a career coach. They'd be looking for career coach. They'd be looking for career campaigns, career goals, job search, career transition, job loss. These are things that people would look when they were looking for a career coach. Imagine taking this entire, 3 or 4 paragraphs, and dumping them into a tag cloud like Wordle.net, I'm going to show you that in a second, and generate a tag cloud that shows the key words so that you know if you're getting your message across to people. So watch this. I have literally copy and pasted this entire several paragraphs, dumped it into a tag cloud called, if you Google tag cloud, in of course, the Google search bar, it'll give you several interesting tag clouds to use. Wordle, WORDLE.net, is one of those tag clouds that you can use to dump in your LinkedIn profile. What words come up pretty strongly? Well, obviously, career, job, certified, management, campaigns, target. You can see what words are really coming up strong and heavy because of the number of times they're mentioned in my profile. So I can walk away from this feeling pretty satisfied that I have hit the audience that probably would be looking for me. Shame on me for using the blue background here, but over here you can see the other large word is clients, coach, transition. So there's some other words in blue that aren't popping up as easily maybe on your screen that I can see on mine. But the tag cloud is also a great thing to use with your resume. Imagine taking your entire resume, copying and pasting it, dumping it in a word cloud or a tag cloud, and seeing what words are coming up most often in your resume. And here's the trick. If it's coming up as much as what the job posting is looking for, you know you've modified that resume, that profile, to be very much in line with that job description. Imagine taking the job description and putting it in the tag cloud. It's instantly going to show you what is most important to that employer. So when you match up the job description with your cover letter, with your resume, all using the tag cloud, separately of course, and your LinkedIn profile, you are focusing your activity, you are focusing your message to that employer and showing you really are a match. Here's another one. If you were a job seeker and found these keywords and job descriptions you were looking for, you'd want to be sure to front load your LinkedIn profile with these words. So here it was, job description on a advertising director in the marketing community that had to have digital background, blogging, social media, etc., Web 2.0. And if you dump that job description in a word cloud, this is what you get. So I would want to take a look at my resume. I'd want to take a look at my LinkedIn profile and say, am I showing similar words as often as this posting might be asking me? Reason 7, target companies are on LinkedIn. And that's the best reason of all, and here's how I can find some more. When I want to find target companies on LinkedIn, even Facebook, even Twitter, and follow those companies because I'm interested in them. Here in Stanford, some of the big companies are RBS, UBS, Time Warner, WWE, Priceline. There are so many big, wonderful companies here. But to know what I want to follow, I want to have an approach to do this. And this helps align really well with the rest of the active or the hidden job market. And I have heard it called outside, this is not something I invented by any means, but the CIO approach. And it really helps you keep on track with what to look for once you get on these social media sites. Because we've all been on Facebook, and you can feel the time suck away from you. So if we go into Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn with a strategy, we're going to do well. So here it is, the CIO approach. In job search, this refers to a strategy that looks for companies that are a good fit for you, and then identifying the influencers both internally and externally, people that have influence in the hiring decision or can influence the hiring manager. And then the third element in the CIO approach stands for opportunities. In other words, what opportunities are you seeing within those target companies where you could solve a problem, fill a need, be a blessing, be a value? And you can still look for other openings at the company, but pay equal, if not more, attention to unidentified opportunities where you're really eliminating the competition for the job. So if you see a gap or a need from your research, your due diligence, once you have found a company that's of interest to you, that's a great approach to go back to someone in the executive position at the company and identify that need and talk about it and set up conversation. Again, something I teach with my clients in the active approach. Excuse me. But do consider the CIO approach. Look for companies that are of interest to you. Start following them on Twitter. Follow their company on LinkedIn, follow their Facebook page, and then start watching those pages. Who are the influencers? Is there a recruiter that's tweeting there often? Is there a marketing or PR person that is adding to that page often? Those are the people you want to start looking up and following on the social media sites. And those recruiters are going to be tweeting or putting on their company pages that they have opportunities open. And this is going to open up more doors to you if you're there to see it versus never using the CIO approach and missing it. Here's a companies tab, pardon me, on LinkedIn. So if you were to go up along the tab line here, just under the LinkedIn header, there's companies home and search for companies. So I searched for GE. And I want to view people in my network that are in GE, since GE is one of my target companies. Then I can see how many people are in my network in GE thanks to LinkedIn. It's so powerful. So when I look up GE, pardon me, I can see 650 results for GE in my results. I have GE Capital, GE Electric, GE Energy, GE Aviation, and on it goes. And I didn't pick the whole world. I just picked the United States. So if I were interested in GE Capital, excuse me, I can go look here and note that there are 12 job openings at GE Capital, and I could reach out to 614 people in my network depending on what I wanted to know about GE Capital. So I already can see 4 people right up front that I can ask about what's going on in their company, what are the postings, if they could help me with introductions to someone in HR or in the hiring decision maker category. So LinkedIn becomes your reverse Rolodex in how to find companies and opportunities that are just sitting there waiting for you to tap in. Here's another page where you can see the types of companies that pop up just with a search of companies in a specific area. So here I searched companies that were in the Hartford, Connecticut area only, and I could see that there were 71 companies. So these might become part of my target list as well. And I can see ESPN, Aetna, the Hartford. Hartford is known, the city of Hartford is known, of course, for its insurance businesses that are headquartered there. But I can see of the major corporations, and there are over 71 here in the Hartford area, I can see that I have 197 people in ESPN and that there are 63 job postings there. And I can reach out to any of my friends, all 197 of them, and I can ask questions. I hope this is helpful. Reason number 8. This is a big one. Groups are on LinkedIn. It's truly the best kept secret on LinkedIn. It's the secret loophole for connecting with people on LinkedIn. If you could only message with people that were first-degree contacts, that would be pretty limiting. But with groups, you can have a conversation with people even if you're not a first-degree connection. That's why you do want to add groups to your profile and use them. So here's another tip, and I learned this from Jason Alba, A-L-B-A. Jason is a guru of LinkedIn. I think he knows LinkedIn better than LinkedIn knows LinkedIn, and I know Jason would be happy I'd say that. Jason has made it his career to teach about LinkedIn nationally across the country. He spoke at one of my coaching conventions out in Baltimore a few years ago, and Jason told all of the career coaches they're a wonderful thing that I have spread to my clients ad nauseum. He said, yes, join groups that are in your niche, in your industry. Join groups that are local. Join groups that are a part of, if you're a marketeer, the American Marketing Association. But he gave us a great tip, and he said, also join a group based on its volume alone. So sure, I can join a marketing group that might have 125 people in it. But Jason would also recommend joining a marketing group that has 10,000 marketing members in it. Because now you have access, now you have reach, you don't have to be a first-degree connection to join in that conversation and to speak. Once you set up your brand, being a regular, if you will, or want to be a regular within that group, isn't it a possibility now to reach out to a person specifically and say, you know, George, it seems like we have similar thinking on many things. I'd like to be a first-degree connection with you. And by that time in the relationship, I'm sure George is willing to be a first-degree connection. But I just want you to know you don't need to be a first-degree connection, though we certainly want to add certain people to our contacts, but you have such great reach based on the volume of the group that you've joined. So here's a strategy for groups. Take advantage of the groups. You'll want to explore industry-appropriate groups and decide which ones you want to join. LinkedIn set a limit of 50 groups, And I know many people, myself included, who have maxed that number out. I could go to 100 easily because there are so many interesting groups that cover so many industry areas. So you might ask which groups your colleagues recommend, or see which groups your colleagues are in. And then after joining the group, I'd like you to lurk. And lurk means just watch. It doesn't mean you have to jump in and say anything. The same applies to Facebook and Twitter. Just lurk. Listen and learn from the conversations. And then when you're comfortable, begin to comment, begin to participate. Do not spam the groups. We've all seen these groups, and some of them we just don't like, where you see there's not a whole lot going on in there. Somebody's trying to sell something. Somebody's just not on the up and up. So make sure you are posing relevant questions, making thoughtful comments, that you're the one adding value, that you're not asking a self-focused question, not yet anyway, that you're reaching out trying to help someone else. And then, yes, on occasion, you definitely are going to ask a self-focused question. Remember, recruiters can see your history of your questions and your answers in groups. That's wonderful. We want to set you up as that subject matter expert, the one who is on those groups adding value. Isn't that the person you want to hire? Isn't that the person you want as part of the company? So do use groups to your advantage. You're not only helping yourself, you're helping so many others. Eventually, you want to take those conversations. Let's pick on George again. I hope if there is a George on the conversation today, you know that George is one of my favorite names to pick on. Don't know why. But you do want to take George to another venue by phone or eventually face-to-face if you're both in the same geographic area. So that, again, as we mentioned earlier, this relationship isn't necessarily a one-hit wonder, but one among colleagues. I look forward to seeing my colleagues at least once a year when I go to certain conventions. I have other colleagues that are more local that I'll have a cup of coffee with at 7 a.m. before I go into work. So there are ways to keep those relationships active. Now, let's talk about leaving a great footprint behind. Before I do, let me show you, these are some of the groups that I am part of, just to show that you can have dimension and depth in your group. So you can see I have a lot that are career related, but then I show some personal aspects too, that I'm a Blue Star mother, that I have a 911 group, a Friends of the United States group, and one of my favorites, it's not even on here, I'm in a Starbucks group. So you can show some fun side to your personality, to your contact list, but you're still showing where you are and where your mind is and the things that you do best. So do show reach and dimension in your groups. Here's a footprint picture that I wanted to discuss with you. Every time that you leave behind a comment in a group as a question or an answer, yeah, it shows your little picture, but you know and I know that when you mouse over that picture, this is what drops down. This is my footprint. It stays in that group always. So I want you to have a great footprint. Here's one of my pet peeves on LinkedIn. When I see someone's name and title, when I see someone's name and the title is what's under their name. So it would say George Smith, Vice President. That is so boring, and it doesn't leave the reader with anything new, anything branded to tell them who you are and what's special about you. So I want you to think of it in terms of a headline. I'd like you to think of it as something that creates interest. So mine says, Career Coach, that is my title, it is what I do, creating extraordinary career campaigns one client at a time, in transition, and then it's a call to action. So what I'm asking you to do is say something in your footprint that leaves behind something interesting. So here's another way to put it. If the New York Times was writing an article about you, what would you want the headline to say? And that headline should be closely related to your brand. Okay? So think about that as something that's going to be left behind into history. So for all prosperity, we want to have a great footprint. Okay, we're getting near the end now, I promise. So it's all about relationships, and we all know that trust takes time. And that's what all of these social media groups are about. So start early, and as they say, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. But since it's not 20 years ago, the next best time is today. So if you haven't started LinkedIn yet, it's okay to start today. You can catch up. Think in baby steps, one step at a time. And here's one last thing, and I think this is really cool. Take a look at this. This is a LinkedIn map of my 1,200 first-degree connections taken on September 4th. It groups my connections. You can see the colors. It groups my connections so that I can see who are these people in my list, where did they come from, how are we all connected. I'm a visual kind of person, so I like to be able to see how things all go together. My particular map is, and then I put the headlines down here so I could see what was what. My particular case is grouped by clients, which is my big blue group here, by networkers, and I have several different client groups and networking groups. It's also by career professionals, the other coaches and industry career leaders that I have as part of my group, and then some open networkers that I have linked with, as well as vendors and friends and associates. So this is a very cool visual of your LinkedIn contacts. If you contact me post this webinar, I'll be happy to send you the link so that you can create your own map. And for those in the group today that want to learn more about leveraging social media tools like LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, I have some group classes that are starting in October. And again, if you contact me, I'm happy to send you the link. I know it's kind of long down here, but again, we're going to dive even deeper into more of the social media so that you can get up to speed and use it to your advantage in your job search as quickly as possible. So Julie, that's the program.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You ended with about 13 minutes left for some questions. So I do have a couple here, and the first one is, Linda, we'd all love to have your network, 1,200 first-degree connections. Now, I know that didn't happen overnight, so how would you recommend for those on the call to build their network?
Lovely, great question. And I'm fortunate because I facilitate 2 monthly networking groups each month in conjunction with Execunet. They don't pay me, I don't pay them. It's just something that we co-brand together. And over the years, going to all of these networking meetings, when I meet someone in a networking group, I bring them into my network. So twice a month at each meeting, I must meet at least 12 new people, so that's about 24 people a month that I'm bringing into my group. So I would certainly recommend that you, the executives on the call, go to networking groups and begin to collect information and how you can help someone else. Those coffee meetings, the networking groups, the virtual groups, anything you can do that exposes you and your brand and invite them into your network. Also, as I mentioned before, joining groups and cherry picking certain individuals within those groups and asking them with all professionalism, you sound like a like-minded individual. I like the information that you posted last week on XYZ subject. I'd like to make you part of my network. Most people are going to say yes, especially after they view your profile and see, yeah, you are a professional I'd like to be associated with too. So it does take time, but do it in baby steps. If you can add 5 people between now and the end of the month, or if you set goals that every month I want to try to have 10 new people, by the end of the year, a full year, you'd have 120 new people in your network.
That's
so
great.
Set up some goals, yeah.
Right, goals, and also the importance of still creating that face-to-face contact as well as
Absolutely.
virtual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next question is, this came in earlier when you were speaking to cover letters. And, just to clarify with cover letters, some people think that they aren't really read. But I think if you can explain it maybe as part of the overall strategy and how important
Absolutely.
or unimportant it still is.
I say it's very important. I don't want to assume which company does read them and which company does not read them. So I'm a bit conservative. I err on the side of caution. Every application, everything gets a cover letter. I don't do the typical cover letters with my clients either, I have to say. To me, it's boring if it's paragraph, paragraph, especially if it's cookie cutter and I'm sending that same letter out to every company. Then why should it be read? I hope it's read, but why should it be? So I believe every opportunity gets a cover letter. Some companies read them. Admittedly, some companies do not. They should be loaded with the keywords that you found within that job posting so that it's resonating. And if it's going through the ATS system, the automated tracking system, if it's being scanned, those keywords are going to pop, and it's going to add to your credibility as a candidate that they want to put on the short list. Other companies that don't read them initially, they do put them in your folder, and I've heard of the cover letter being used as a tiebreaker. Imagine that, being down to 2 candidates. They can't tell what to do, so they say, like the old Warner Wolf on New York City television, let's go to the videotape. And they would go to that cover letter as if that is the tiebreaker. So I encourage very distinct cover letters that include all of the qualifications, the must-haves, the golden keys that get you through the door, so that they are saying, well, this candidate has everything I asked for. There's no reason I shouldn't bring them in. I'm not talking about the responsibilities in the cover letter. I'm talking about the qualifications, the requirements, and utilizing the keywords from the posting in that cover letter. So I am a proponent of cover letters. I think they should and must be used. There's no, except for, let's be honest here, except for maybe it'll save you an hour's worth of work. Is that really the reason not to use a cover letter? This is job search time. We're in it full force. There's no shortcuts here. Do the right thing, and that's what's going to move you forward.
Great answer. On the footprint that you mentioned, yes. How do you control what goes into your footprint?
It is the top portion of your LinkedIn profile. So let me pull over my profile. Can we all see that?
Yes.
Okay. And let's make it the view profile. This is the footprint right there.
Okay, great.
So you want to be sure what's up here is part of your brand. This is the part that's getting left behind. So that's why I strongly encourage a headline, not your title. Title is boring.
Now, premium levels of LinkedIn, worth the money?
No. I think job seekers can spend their money maybe once in a while on, a pizza or a night out versus $25 or $6 or $7 a month for premium membership. I have it because as a career coach, I need to see who's looking at me. It's part of my business. It's a different rationale. LinkedIn gives enough to the job seeker on the free version that there's plenty of information at your fingertips. That said, if you want to try something, I would strongly suggest that you do it as a trial-based version. Do it for 1 month and see if it's worth the $27.
Okay.
Like all things, if we're not using the features, it's like getting a gym club membership and then never going, but the money keeps going out. So if you're not going to use it, don't be committed for the long term.
Okay, here's a great question. When looking in one of the Fairfield alumni groups, how appropriate is it to contact someone that may be a second or third contact about potential career opportunities at their company? So what's the best way to navigate?
Right. Like on LinkedIn, coming up to me blind, it's a tough call because at first I'm jarred. At first I'm going, do I know you? How do I know you? I might not want to circumvent the person that's in between us. I might want to use that person first, and I mean use in a nice way. I want to ask that person some information about that second or third degree connection and what information, my due diligence, what they can tell me to help me approach that person. I just did it the other night. I needed to get to know someone rather quickly in California, saw a gentleman in between us, and instead of me sending an in-mail or finding a way to go after that person cold, I used my first degree connection who warmly sent my email to his associate, and I know that I have gone through the proper channels. So you don't want to burn a bridge. Use your first degree connection whenever possible to help you reach out to who's second and third.
Okay, how about in accepting requests to connect on LinkedIn? How discerning should one be about that?
Okay, well, first of all, go to their profile. Make sure they're legit. I have, and I'm sure you've all gotten a few of these, there are some folks on LinkedIn that really are not who they say they are. I had some person target me because he saw the military relationships in my profile. My son is serving right now, and this person had a picture in uniform, gave me a great story, and I accepted his invitation to find out within days that this was a spamming opportunity. So do your due diligence, be careful. And I have to say it without sounding haughty, even someone like me, I got sucked into it because I saw the military uniform. Okay, so do your research. Most people on LinkedIn are legitimate, especially if they have that open networker seal, such as I do on my, let me point that out over here, on my profile. This says premium, but what this is that I'm an open networker, so I'm really going to take a nice look at people and the people that are asking to join me. So just be discerning, but know that everyone's trying to do the right thing and advance their career and yours as well.
Okay, how about your picture? How important is it to have your picture in your profile?
Must, must, must. Let's pull that profile back.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, must, must, must. Do not be on Twitter the egg, and do not be on LinkedIn this headless, vapor that they put there. So here's the deal. You want to have, look over here, it says 100% profile completeness. You want that, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's the bad news. If you are 85, 90, 95% complete, you might not be seen by a recruiter, because when they send out their net looking for whatever they put in their algorithm, they want a procurement person in the Northeast that's worked at a Fortune 500, blah, 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 and they put in all these parameters. LinkedIn goes out and brings them back their list of who fits that category. But even LinkedIn had to have an algorithm to figure out who should we show the recruiter first. So guess what LinkedIn does? They put all the 100% people on top, followed by the 95s, followed by the 90s, etc. So if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for that special guru procurement person, I never have to go deeper than my 100% people. I don't need to look at my 95s. I have probably found enough candidates to look at in my 100%. So guess what? Get your profiles up to 100% and be seen. And because of a lousy picture, don't miss a job opportunity. So let's say you don't like your picture. I would recommend, at least, I had a client, he was so photo shy. He took a picture of himself on a beach. He must have been 20 feet away from the camera. His wife must have taken it, but there he is. I don't recommend that. I do recommend a professional headshot, but he satisfied the need as far as LinkedIn was concerned. But be 100%.
Okay, quickly, a couple more questions. you know how you modify your resume for each job
Yes.
that you're applying for? How do you handle that with your LinkedIn profile?
Great question. I would have enough, remember I'm not a fan of applying to a position by hitting that LinkedIn button, which means that profile is your resume and your cover letter and everything else. I don't think that's prudent. But make sure there are enough keywords within the entire LinkedIn profile, because you certainly don't want to be modifying it on a daily basis. It isn't a resume, but it can have enough of a 3D picture of you that it's covering all of those aspects. Let me put that up. That it's covering all of the aspects of what are keywords that are part of you. So you would see that this would be loaded with keywords. This is loaded with keywords. And then there's this other wonderful part here. This is new, skills and expertise. These can be loaded with the keywords that are all about you. So you can see there are ways to make sure that your profile has enough to satisfy all the aspects of you.
Okay. And finally, the last question. We're a little over time, but as far as your employer is looking through LinkedIn, any suggestions on how to not look like you're looking for a job? Or?
Well, more and more people, at least half on LinkedIn, are employed. So it's not uncommon. Don't think that you're sticking out like a sore thumb. But certainly add things that add to your community that don't always sound like you're looking for a job, because remember, you're looking to be a subject matter expert, an industry expert, someone who's building your network. And I would encourage, if your boss isn't on LinkedIn, you might want to tell him to get on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not trying to be flip about it, but you're certainly not doing things on LinkedIn or any social media outlet that says, I'm looking for a job. That is not the way social media works. So you wouldn't be doing that, and just be a professional, be straight up, and if you're making it a common occurrence where you're at least updating things or adding articles or liking someone's comments at least once or twice a week, it's not going to raise a red flag. And I'd also say that it's probably not likely that the boss is checking everyone's LinkedIn profile within the company.
Okay, great. Well, Linda, thank you so much. It's now a couple minutes after 2, so we have to say goodbye, but I really appreciate the time that you've given us today. I think you loaded us with tons of information to go forward in job search, and even if you're not in job search, to grow your network and to keep your presence there on LinkedIn. And who knows, a recruiter may be calling you for your next best position and you weren't even looking.
That's it.
Right?
Very good.
Thank you so much. Linda will join us hopefully again at the end of, throughout our webinar series. We're talking about what her next one will be, so we look forward to having you back. And for everybody else who's still on the call, you'll be receiving e-blast soon talking about the next 2 webinars that are in October. So please take a look for that and go online and sign up. And you can also see the recording of this webinar we just had in a couple of days when we upload it. So please also take advantage of all of the past webinars that have been on here. Linda did a great one in May on Twitter for job search. So please make sure that you take a look at that as well. So everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And Linda, again, we will talk soon.
Very good. Thank you, Julie.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.